So, what is good, everybody? I got Gil, the solid alibi, in the studio today for episode 22. How are you doing, Gil?
Dude, I'm chilling, man. Happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me on the show.
Dude, fuck yeah. It's such a good day outside. Man, I was just thinking back to when we first met, and it was definitely at Base on the Nile, right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Man, that was how many years ago? Was that 29? What year was that?
Jeez, man, it was at least 2 years ago, I would say. Something like that, dude.
Yeah, 2021 or something. Yeah. I lose track of time, dude. That was a cool show.
Yeah.
How was that one for you?
That was a good time, man. That was like, I think that was one of the first like outdoor festivals I played. So that was like a really cool experience. And it was like a big homie fest. So that was really cool, just chilling with everybody.
Dude, it was a big homie fest, man. Jay was the one that helped put that on. DJ Kinetic.
Yeah. AKA
Kraken, shout out. Station Underground Records. We love you. Yeah, and so I'm curious. I always break my podcast down into a sort of like past, present, future thing. And, you know, one doesn't simply just start listening to like tear out dubstep overnight. Like, how did that happen for you?
Dude, you know, it's really funny. I got into the rave scene when Big Room House was big. So I was listening to like, my first festival was Izu, and I remember like seeing David Guetta headline and shit like that. So that was a very wild thing. You know, I was listening to Borges and stuff. And then I remember my first introduction to dubstep, besides from like very old like Skrillex stuff, where it was just, you know, listening.
Yeah, Skrillex.
I had stumbled on an Adventure Club set, and that was my first dubstep set, and I was like, oh, this is pretty fucking sick, man. And then, you know, then the rise of trap happened, and I saw Flostradamus, and then it just got heavier and heavier, and now it's now like everything rattles my brain. So
I haven't heard those names in forever.
Yeah.
Like Adventure Club, Flostradamus, all that's old, man. Yeah. Especially
Fast life, dude.
I think Skrillex was a big deal for everybody. Like. Yep. Getting them onto dubstep, and it just brings me back to that Key and Peele skit where, did you see the one, like the dubstep one?
Everything's fucking shaking.
Yeah. Why is my nose bleeding?
Yeah, that shit is so funny.
Nobody knew what to do at first. I felt like it was almost like heavy metal, but with synthesizers.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Something that, like, we hadn't quite heard before like that.
Yeah, and it was just like, The room for creativity, I think, especially in the beginning of dubstep, was just so vast because nobody knew what to expect. Like, nobody knew what the crowds would want. And they remember that lull after the initial peak of dubstep where it started to die down and then people started experimenting with different speeds. I remember, like, when Barely Alive was doing dubstep at, like, 128. Like, it was just a very weird time, man. But, like, people were just trying to find the sound, you know, that people would enjoy. And now it's just, like, ever evolving. And you know, I think dubstep is on the rise for sure.
It is. It's here to stay. That's for sure. It's not a phase, Mom.
Yeah, you're right. I feel that.
Oh my God. So, when did you start producing music?
Ooh, let's see. So, I actually lived in Raleigh, North Carolina at the time. It's probably been like 4 years ago I started producing. I did DJ beforehand. And then like dabbled into Ableton. When I say dabble, I mean just click buttons because I had no idea what the fuck I was doing.
Day one in Ableton.
Yeah, day one in Ableton. And then started to take it serious. Luckily, I've been having some mentors and picking some things up from people over the years. So that transition. But yeah, production game's probably been four or 5 years now. Yeah, probably 4 years. Yeah.
Sick, dude. Yeah. So I'm glad that you use Ableton because I'm an Abletonian as well.
Hell yeah.
And I just, I'm using it right now to record this podcast.
Yeah.
But it's so universal, dude. And how many tracks do you think you've released since you started?
Ooh. So before Solid Alibis, I went by Plex.
Yeah.
And I had released a couple of things, and I remember I just took for me in my project outlook, even when I was Plex and then soon to be Solid Alibi, I really focused on putting out quality material. So there was I had released a couple of songs and then legit just like didn't release anything for almost 2 years. And which is funny because that last EP I dropped, like a lot of those songs I wrote like a year and a half ago or something like that. So
damn.
So yeah, I took the time to just focus on production and just try to put out like quality stuff. Yeah.
So what was the reasoning and influence behind switching from Plex to Solid Alibi?
Sure. So there were a couple of things. One of the main things was just really discovering my sound, and Plex was great. But like when you're producing with a theme, like you want as an artist, especially when you're, like trying to climb up the ranks in popularity and just like captivate an audience, like having a theme is super important. It's something that people can latch onto. And I think of like some of the biggest names in dubstep right now, they all have like the crazy solid theme, like Sudden Death. Like exactly what a Sudden Death song is going to sound like, what his production is going to sound like. ATLiens, exactly what it's going to sound like. It's like, it's such a big thing, and I kind of wanted to get ahead of the curve, when releasing. So that was a big reason for the switch. Yeah,
that's a solid point, pun intended. And that is the way it kind of goes. It's hard to latch onto an artist when they have such a multivarious genre sound.
Yep.
And it just narrows it down to one thing for somebody to pay attention to, like kind of the whole thing between Domino and Cruise Ship, or even like Kinetic and Kraken.
Yep.
Some people just straight up create an alter ego side project.
Yeah.
DJ Hansel, Dylan Francis.
Hell yeah.
So what have you been listening to lately? Like, what would be on your iPod right now?
Ooh,
if we even had iPods anymore.
I've been listening to a lot of Stone Level. He's definitely top on my list of artists right now.
I never
just
heard
love
of
his music.
Stone Level?
Stone Level, yeah.
Like STONELEVEL?
Yeah, like Stone Space Level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, super awesome stuff. And he's been starting to like blow the fuck up, but listened to a lot of him. I love what ATLiens has been putting out. Definitely has a big influence on like the kind of sound I'm going for, especially when I do like recently I've been doing a lot of 130 BPM dubstep, and ATLiens has been a huge influence. Also a lot of GAWM. I think GAWM is pretty awesome, man.
How do you spell that? I've never heard
GAWM.
GAWM.
Yeah, super innovative sound. It's like a hybrid trap, but it's like so unique. It's really cool stuff.
Man, that's what I like to hear. I love ATLiens. They really know how to do bass, in my opinion. Like and they got some just gnarly sound texture things too going on. And it's just so funny. Like, they're just one of those acts that has the mask.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, like, how many more masks are we gonna see in this lifetime from these artists? I don't know. For them, I guess they've been doing it for a while. I can look past the gimmicky side of it, because when you really like an artist, you really like an artist. It doesn't matter what they look like or anything like that.
Yep.
I
wonder how much they could see under those masks.
I know. I kind of wonder that too.
Well, with everybody too.
I actually saw this flyer for a show up in Virginia Beach for this EDM artist named Always Sunny. And it has this huge sun head thing. It's almost like, like Marshmallow has like a big ass thing, and then it's got like these weird sun rays, and it's just like, you wonder, how stifled is it in there? Is it hard to breathe? Is it hard to see? Like, how do you do your thing with that?
Dude, is there an AC in there? Like, I guess he'd Barely Alive's like giant head. I wonder if he has just like computer desktop fans in there. Like, how in the world? Dude, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
Plus, I would just like bump in his shit. I'd be like, oh shit, sorry guys.
Yeah, I have just a hard enough time breathing as it is without a mask.
Right.
Oh man. And so that's cool. I got to check those peeps out. What do you have on your platter right now that you can? Oh, no. This is one I really wanted to talk about. Of course, was your Pepas remix.
Hell yeah.
That's gone huge, dude. Can you tell us a little bit about that and who all's been playing your shit, dude? It's crazy.
Yeah, man. That was it was about time to release like a flip. I've always wanted to do that, and it was always like kind of like a daunting thing for me, because you got to kind of change up the process a little bit from creating a song from scratch. But it was just like something I really wanted to do. And at Lost Lands, I heard Pepas like all the time. Like, you know, there was a couple songs like Anybody Was There knows, like Somewhere by Hull was like probably number one. You know, there was a bunch of songs, but you heard Pepas a lot. And I just really wanted to put my own spin on it. The original track is super sick to me because like it almost feels like it's got like soccer crowd energy, you know, and that like melody. And I was like, dude, that's like what EDM is about, is just that hype up moment. And so I can put my own spin on it, it'd be super sick. But yeah, so most recently Jansen's been playing it on his tour. I know he played it on New Year's Eve. That was super sick. Especially since like I've always listened to Jansen's music, so I was like, dude, that's so gutter, dude, that's so sick.
I saw and heard that, and I was just like, damn, dude, because Jansen was one of the first peeps I got into when getting into like the whole EDM thing.
Hell yeah, you know, nice.
Yeah, there's like this one track called "Pedal to the Floor." It was like him and Tin Cup, I think.
Ooh,
but
throwback.
But that's just like, that's so surreal, dude. Like you wonder how it happens. Like, how did they procure my track? Like, what do you think?
Dude, I mean, like, I didn't send it to him for him to listen to, so he found that, like, organically, and that was, like, made it even fucking cooler for me, because, like that was also my first, like, self-release track, period. You know, I've always gone through labels, so I was, you know, terrified at how it would do, because I put so much time into the actual track, but that was fucking validation. You know?
Yo, it goes to show, hey, everybody, you know, you can just release a track without any label and it still rise to the top, you know? So did you release on like SoundCloud and also other platforms, or what?
That one was just SoundCloud because it was just like an unofficial remix. So
right, we don't want to get copyright issues, infringements when sometimes I'm releasing remixes and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna upload a DistroKid. Like we'll see. Like there's like I did an A Bay remix, and you know it's still out there, but you know it's I need to release more on SoundCloud, man. I kind of like just dipped off of SoundCloud, and it's still very much a real thing. Like apparently you can now access it in like the browser of your Serato and such.
Oh really? I didn't know that. It's like crazy.
Straight up. Integrated, like you're connected to the internet, and there's this just portion off where your crates are that just says SoundCloud. Boom, click in there, like everything.
Hell yeah, that's badass.
Yeah,
came a long way.
SoundCloud has almost died, and then it's come back.
I think it's like just like a lot of that is just people always want like the underground sound. I feel like, and it's always like, I think that's where you go first. You know, like Spotify and Apple Music and stuff is honestly the most important, because that's what's like, you know, as an artist, that's going to make your career viable. You know, like that's how you can capture a bigger portion of the audience. Right. But like SoundCloud is still, you know, you find that underground stuff. Like some of the hottest stuff I find, you know, the guy's got like 150 followers. You know, right. like I played a flip of what was it? Fuck Aliens. And the artist had like 30 followers. I just happened to stumble upon it in SoundCloud. It was like, dude, this is fire. You know, it's just
Fuck
crazy,
Aliens?
Man. Yeah. Yeah, dude. I was just like, oh, this is fucking gas, dude. But that's how you find it, man. It's just like there's so much just appreciation for art, you know, like on SoundCloud, you know, you could find that like really genuine music on there, I think. So all goes together, you know.
Isn't it something that people want to be the first one to find a sort of undiscovered artist?
Oh, it's like the coolest thing in the world.
You know what I mean? Like that's what SoundCloud.
That is the coolest thing in the world.
I feel like SoundCloud is tailored to that, or SoundCloud tailored people to be like that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the other. It's just such this. You know, I don't think enough people, like say in the mainstream, might understand exactly how influential SoundCloud really is.
Yeah, I remember like, you know, aside from EDM, like when like sad boy rap like was becoming a thing, like that blew up solely because of SoundCloud. You know, like those little peeps and stuff, or RP. But like fucking it's just crazy, man. Like there's so much raw talent, you know, you can find anywhere. Like thank God for the internet, yo.
Speaking of, like one of the last people that I found that isn't quite completely blown up, that actually Jay Station Underground showed me, was Brainwaves. I don't know if you have heard of Brainwaves?
Fuck yeah, Brainwaves is dope.
Just found out about him.
Yeah, I've heard some of the stuff. I've actually played. He has a Maui remix. I think I played that out.
Maui?
Maui. Yeah.
By who?
By Right 10. Am I saying it wrong?
Okay.
I might be saying it wrong.
I don't know that Riot 10 song. I haven't gone through a lot of his catalog, Brainwaves that is. But
he's got some good stuff. Definitely like some innovative, like hybrid trap type stuff. It's really cool. I know he's had some support from AT Aliens. Played out some of the songs and stuff like that.
Oh, that's right.
At least from what I've noticed.
Like that. Yeah. Now that you mention it.
Oh, yeah.
And he's apparently from Costa Rica.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's wild, bro.
Yeah. I looked at it and I was like, damn,
cool
dude.
Shit, dude.
I've been out there and it seems like it's much harder to just make things work, like getting
I can imagine, man.
Getting
like
even like studio speakers or like a MacBook Pro isn't like that easy out there. Things are just different, and he just seems like he's got all of his ducks in a row. Like his branding's sick, like his sound design is like super pro.
There's like I think it's so wild when like foreign artists, like, you know, like watching their brand develop, and then them like finally being able to play US shows, and I'm just like so hyped by that point. Like I feel like Samplifier, like I want to see Samplifier forever, and he's based in France, and now he's just starting to play shows out here, and I was like, I will drive like 10 hours to go see Samplifier because I've wanted to for the past like 6 years. It's just kind of crazy, man.
Who is this? Samplifier?
Dude.
Samplifier? Yeah. How do you spell that?
SAMPLI fire. Yeah.
Okay.
Dude's he's a disciple artist. He's like one of the best like sound designers in the game, I think.
Sheesh.
Yeah. He's like one of the people, like, you know, it's been kind of you know, like the term trench. Like his new style of music is kind of fitting that kind of subgenre of rhythm.
Trench.
Yeah.
It's a kind of rhythm.
Yeah. It's like this has been debated the last 2 months on social media.
Really?
You know, I might get shit on EDM Twitter, but fucking yeah, trench is kind of like, at least to me, what trench is like a very like just like sewery rhythm. It sounds like very big sounds, just fucking really cool. There's a lot of texture in the music, and that's what I love. There's a lot of distorted subs and shit like that. Like I love that. I want to feel like the music. If I hear a sound and I can like feel it, like that just sounds, it's cool. You know, that's like full immersion. So trends are starting to pop off. You know, we'll keep the same name and shit, but
and it's interesting to talk about genres. I want to get back to that really quick before I forget to just plug you really quick, like Solid Alibi, SOLID space ALIBI.
That is correct, man.
And on Instagram, it's This Is Solid. It's coffee, my bad. On Instagram, it's This Is Solid Alibi.
Yes, sir.
And what are your other handles? Go ahead and plug them.
Yeah, This Is Solid Alibi. At This Is Solid Alibi on Instagram, Facebook. On Twitter, it's Solid Alibi. This Is Solid Alibi is too long, so it's Solid Alibi on Twitter. SoundCloud is /SoundCloud_alibi. But yeah, I mean, if you search Solid Alibi, you might find some like crime articles and shit, but I'm pretty sure I'm close to the top. So just if you do Solid Alibi and dubstep, I guarantee I'll come up.
Dude, so back to some genres, because I think it's just all the subgenres, it can get so confusing, but there's still distinctions that we latch onto as artists and consumers of all these different kinds of EDM. It's like EDM is like the ultimate top umbrella. Yeah. Right? And then kind of underneath that, you've got, say, like house music. Yeah. Sort of mid-tempo. Yep. Like dubby wubbier stuff.
Yeah, like trance.
Yeah, like so it's like there's that whole upbeat portion that's like, yeah, that side trance sort of
floor to floor type stuff.
Yeah, housey, like which I had to sort of develop an appreciation for. I came into the music. I came into EDM kind of like with trap and hybrid trap.
Hell yeah.
And it's just funny the way that these genres have sort of evolved and like gained popularity and lost popularity. And I'm honestly, having first listened to Rhythm, I was like, dude, this sounds like, I don't know, it sounded like too much at first. And then now I'm like so adjusted to it where I'm if this shit isn't breaking my back, then like go home.
Hell yeah, right?
No, but basically, but yeah, so what do you think is, what do you what do you think? Like Big Room House kind of was like the progressive sort of trance thing was kind of big at first, like we were saying earlier with like David Guetta, and then it kind of like went into house there for a little bit. And I feel like house has always been there side by side with like dubstep, like dubby things,
big power moves.
And it's like, what do you think is, not that it really matters, but like, what do you consider to be like the most popular genres right now?
I think house will always have like it's kind of stable in EDM, and then like the bro step rhythm is probably going to be like, you know, like that other portion of it. But then you see other genres like, you know, I think I love EDM because it's like ever changing, and you see like ebbs and flows of music. Like I would have never guessed that like drum and bass would like start coming back on the rise again. Like right now I was like, this is wild. Like, you know, and it's cool because even though like, you know, like drum and bass took a dip, like now it's becoming like, you know, newer artists that maybe have never touched that genre can put their own spin on it. And I think that's literally how our music evolves, which is pretty sick. So you see a lot of stuff, but you know, I love my rhythm.
It makes me curious on where the future of music lays, like especially within electronic dance music. Like how much more like are we gonna do? Like the sound design thing I think is very crucial for the way that the direction's gonna go.
You know, it's kind of weird. Like I noticed like a trend. So like the whole COVID time period when, you know, we weren't able to do anything, we weren't able to throw shows. EDM was primarily like a live style music. You want to hear that live. You want to hear that bass. And I think like during COVID, when there was like an influx of all I could do was work on music, people really started to focus on making music that sounded like pleasing to the ear, as in like it was fun to listen to. It was less about the rhythmic, the big bass drops, the high crowd moments, high energy moments. It was more about like, this is cool to listen to on headphones. So I think that those 2 years really pushed like EDM more than in a while from my experience, you know. But now it's starting to shift back to like the live music again. So you're seeing like another kind of flow of music. But there's just so many ways to like take in music now. It's kind of like hard to predict, you know, with streaming and stuff like that. Like I can't think, there's very few times in my day where I don't have like a music at least in the background, you know. There's you know, there's so much music to be had, and there's like, and I think the music industry is even more accessible than it's ever been, you know, just being able to put up music yourself and stuff like that. Like this quiet, like I don't have a manager. Like if I don't know if I asked like an artist 10 years ago, like, you have a manager like coming up, like I think it would be a whole nother world, you know, like I could book my own shows and stuff. Like that's kind of crazy.
It is crazy.
It's kind of nuts.
Man, I feel like the MySpace era was sort of like it helped with that because it really let the artists sort of get in touch with other artists to be able to do their own shows, literally. And like you said before, it's like there's gatekeepers seemingly that you would need to have in order to be taken seriously, like, oh, like I'm signed to X, Y, and Z, or this is my manager. Nowadays it's like, you know, the whole Russ factor, like Russ the hip-hop artist, he released a track like once like a week for however long and independently, and then just literally rose to the top and has still been declining like major record label deals that have like an exorbitant amount of like sign-on bonus and stuff like that. Just he's really retaining the independent thing and showing that it can be done. You know, like his formula was drop once a week, and that was super solid. And then nowadays you can just be blowing up in your bedroom by making like fucking TikTok videos or whatever. It's crazy, dude. And and speaking of TikTok, I think it's funny. I've been paying more attention to it because it was about, I don't know, somewhere between like half a year and a year ago that one of the guitarists in my wedding band was like talking about TikTok, and I was like, yeah, I think it's kind of lame just because it seems so like fad oriented and like whatever. And he sort of broke it down. He's like, dude, if you're a musician and you don't have a TikTok, you're kind of doing something wrong.
Yeah, I feel that. I just started mine like 2 weeks ago. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, it's better late than never. And it's because it actually started out as a music-based like app. Like,
Really?
Like
did not know that.
If
That's
you
really
notice
wild.
what's the logo? It's a quarter note.
Yeah, that is a quarter. Oh shit, that's kind of wild. I never thought of that.
And then they
Good
just
shit. Oh, that's funny as hell.
right. It sort of dawned on me the other day. I was like, damn, okay, I get it now. It's like all the dances, all that stuff makes more sense because it's like
That's where it
dancing and
originated
music.
from,
yeah, and
That's
then,
super wild, man.
yeah.
Damn.
There's more people on TikTok now than there are on Google and Facebook and
Really?
all these other. Yes, like by a magnitude of very large proportions.
That's nuts.
Yeah, that blew my mind too, and I was just like, well, it makes sense.
Now I gotta go make content. TikTok.
Exactly. Like I'll post the same
Note for tomorrow.
and do some experimenting yourself. Put the same thing on TikTok as you would on Instagram. Try to treat it just the same, like same captions, same everything.
Yeah.
Watch the difference. And I made my first video meme this past week, and I uploaded it to both Instagram and TikTok the same day.
Yeah.
Right now on TikTok it has like, I don't know, I guess like around close to 2,000 views, and then on
That's crazy.
on Instagram it has like maybe 500. So it's kind of like one of those things where I just sit back and realize that things really are moving in that direction. I sort of thought the whole Reels thing was just sort of like, I don't know. I felt like people were just like melting their face off by just swiping. But, it's actually entertaining. I'll now, instead of like putting on a TV show, I will now like sit there and I'll be like, all right, I'll give some Reels a try.
Yes, let's go. You find some cool stuff. I mean, having just like starting to look into like TikTok and Reels and stuff more, like you can find some good stuff as like a budding artist, like as a producer. Like a lot of some of the bigger artists will put like little clips of like tips and tutorials and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Really cool stuff, man. And like to get the 10-second version of that is actually super fucking helpful. Like sometimes it's better, man. This makes it less daunting.
And it's hard to kind of condense it down like that if you are the person creating that content. Like actually being able to just simplify it. Like, okay, here in Ableton you pull on this rack and then you just turn this decay blah 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 like this, and then next thing you know sound like Travis Scott, or next thing you know you can make a drop in 10 seconds.
Yeah. And then they're like fucking flipping through it, like bugging out, trying to get it done. I love those. Like Wales has been. He said he's gonna release. He's been releasing a clip, at least a minute-long clip every day, and he said he's gonna do that for like a year or something like that. Don't quote me.
Wales?
Yeah, Wales. Yeah.
And he's a what kind of artist?
Dubstep artist. Yeah.
Okay, so Wales spelled just how it sounds.
Yeah. Just straight up Wales.
Go on. Go on. I just try to give a moment to plug everything.
Yeah. His he's doing like, he's writing drops in like 30 minutes and posting them every day. It's pretty sick.
So how long are these drops?
They're like a short intro build and like one drop.
Okay, so he goes through the construction of it and then okay.
He'll like sound design and drop everything in there. Like the other day he did like a behemoth flip. And I was like, this is so sick, but he did it like a half hour. But it was just cool to just watching his process and seeing like sometimes you don't, like that was a problem like I had when I was first started producing. I just like stared at the screen just like too long, and like some of it is just like that, especially at first, like playing around, just like learning like your software, your DAW and stuff. But like right when you're inspired is like the best. I get way more done when I'm inspired for a half hour than if I'm just like feel obligated to work on music for like 4 hours because it's my day off. Like that's like advice I would give myself. Like when I was first starting out, dude. Like you don't have to burn yourself out. Just like enjoy what you're making and when you're making it.
That's the best sort of flow, I believe, as well. You can sit there and try to work through creative ruts, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't really work out, but I feel like you're right, that it's when you're in the mood and you're in the zone and you really just have this idea like in the front of your head, and you just like, okay, I know I'm going to reverse engineer what I want to make from a vision that I have versus like, I'm just going to try to throw spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah. I think it was like, I forgot which producer it was. I know it was a hip-hop producer. I think it might have been Metro Boomin, but he said, if I can't find a groove with what I'm doing in 5 minutes, idea scrap, start a new one. And I was like, yeah, it's really powerful stuff, For imagine how much music he's literally, like how many beats he's writing a day. Like, like...
Straight up.
He probably has like 250,000 beats he's never put out in the past, like, you know, couple of years or something like that, just to find like the gold that like goes multi-platinum and shit, you know.
Yeah. If y'all don't know who Metro Boomin is, he's pretty much like the biggest beat producer for rap these days.
Yeah.
METRO space BOOMIN. Yeah, he's got huge credits. And so what do you find yourself using in the DAW a lot? Do you like a mix between some like samples and say like synthesizers, like VSTs, like Serum, for example? Like, describe what that's like for you.
So when I was first starting out, I know it's like, you know, there's a bad stigma in EDM among beginning artists that it is bad to use samples. You know, that you are less of a producer for using samples.
But it's not true.
That is not true. And for a very long time, I just used samples. And the reason being is I was limited at that time in what sounds I could create. So by that, I'm limiting to the music I can create. And if you're practicing with shit sounds because you're trying to force stuff, you're never going to learn how to mix correctly. Eventually, but it might take longer. So there's a natural progression to learning, and your time speed as a producer is all it is. It's yours. You know, you don't have to compare yourself to anybody else and stuff like that. So yeah, using samples was like a huge part of like what I did initially. Now I fuck around with Serum and stuff too, and use samples still. You know, having a huge sample library is super huge too, man, because it just helps the workflow going. You know, especially when you get used to like certain packs that like you know, usually work for what your style you're trying to do and stuff like that. But right now I use like a lot of Serum, a lot of samples. Yeah,
that's good. Me too, dude. And Splice is a huge proponent to the sample game as well. Yeah. You know, I'll get some sample packs here and there, like just on some whim, like if it's a producer that I really like, and it's not available on Splice for whatever reason, because Splice is pretty much just like the new thing.
Dude, yeah, there's so much on Splice.
Yeah, like if you're a producer and you don't know what Splice is, I don't know what to say. You've been living under a rock, and go check it out. It's literally like $10 a month or whatever. You have multiple tier packages, and SPLICE.com. And there's rent to own synths, all sorts of things, little workshops, which is cool, dude. Like I don't really do much outside of just like downloading like presets and samples though within there. Apparently you can collaborate within their construct.
Oh yeah, I seen they like upload projects and stuff. I'm old school with that stuff. I collect and save in Ableton and email or some shit.
Exactly. I don't know. I think
WeTransfer is pretty cool too. If you need to like send files under 2 gigs, that's been a lifesaver. Not hashtag not a sponsor.
Yeah. WeTransfer. Yeah, WeTransfer's the shit. And that's how I do collabs too, dude. It's just literally printing out the stems, sending it their way, or if they have the same version of Ableton as me that's like compatible, you know, just create a pack under the file drop menu and send that whole thing their way, and they can download it, open it up just the same. And, you know, as long as you got all the same like sort of third-party plugins and whatnot, like if you're using third-party plugins, which I recommend, you know, things like that, blah, 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 you can always freeze and flatten. Anyway.
Speaking of plugins, I had an idea. I think I'm going to do, it might not start tomorrow, but every Friday on TikTok, I'm going to start doing free plugin Fridays. And I'm going to go over, you know, just like what free plugins I think like are worth your time to go through. So any budding producers, be something good to check out.
So speaking of, go ahead and follow him on TikTok. It's we mentioned it earlier. Yeah. You'll catch the plug. And so I think the latest free plugin that I actually downloaded was this one that hit me on just like a reel or something like that, and it's called Car Test.
Oh, you know what? I've seen. Oh man, I think it was on Instagram. I saw some artists talk about it. So you don't have to walk out to your car, right?
Yeah, I mean, so you don't have to walk out to your car. It's like I thought I thought the idea was cool because the car test is always a thing for for producers. Like, okay, I mean, it sounds one way in the studio, but it'll always sound a little bit different in another environment. Headphones, car, club, your iPhone speaker. And so there's plugins for like the iPhone speaker and whatnot too, but this one called Car Test is all right. It's all right. Like, I'll describe it really quick. You basically go to the website, download it, boom, open it up, put it on your master chain, like all the way at the end, and then you just turn it on. And the weird thing about Car Test is that it literally like pushes your mix kind of over to the right speaker more. At first I thought I was tripping. Like, I was like, why are my cables like plugged in correctly going to both my speakers? You know, kind of toggled it. Notice that it's most of the sound is coming out of the right speaker, which is kind of weird.
Okay.
So it's like got one button, one knob, and the knob is like kind of like the drive, like the gain is in if your mix is fine, and then you throw a Car Test on there, and then all of a sudden you're like redlining on your metering for your master out, then you kind of pull back that gain until it's like not clipping, and then that's supposed to be like the accurate representation. And you just kind of have to sit there and notice like the way that the sonics change. And then
probably get a good idea of like stereo imaging too in a car, because you got speakers all around you, so I would guess that would help. And
that's what I was trying to understand about the why they pan it off to the right. Like,
it's kind of weird.
Is it like as if, you know, I'm sitting in the driver's seat and my leg is covering up the left speaker so much that it's mostly coming out the right? I don't know. It's just, that's the one weird thing about it. But yeah, man, I'm trying to think about some other free plugins, but I guess I'll stay posted unless like...
Yeah, I use Span like every project. Do you know what Span is?
Yeah, it's like a spectrum analyzer, right?
Spectrum analyzer. It's especially good like when you guys are starting out and your ears just starting to learn, you know, having that like visual companion. Basically what it does, it'll show you, you know, like for me, what I use it for most is on my master, and then I could see as the song is playing visually how it sounds, you know, like, and I could deduce like, do I need to add more mids, or do I need to add more highs, or is there not enough stereo, or is it gonna sound bad in mono, things like that. You can kind of deduce as your ear gets better. Super fun, super good free plugin.
Exactly, Span. I forget who that's by.
Voxengo, I think.
Yeah.
That's
Voxengo. They also have some other ones that I like.
They have a stereo one that's pretty cool.
Stereo
I forgot what that one's
Imager,
called though.
Maybe S1 or something. There's so many freaking plugins, dude. They all just like, I remember, just like every time I look at a spectrum analyzer, I'm like, okay, I kind of prefer the spectrograph, but like, that is like a little, you'll never really find a free one of those. But going into paid plugins, I really like, for like my mastering, I will go to Isotope all day.
Oh, like Ozone and stuff?
Yeah. Ozone is the shit, dude.
Ozone plugins are fire, dude. I love Neutron. Neutron. That shit is super fire for checking your, you know, imaging and shit like that.
Seriously. There's by Isotope, it's this thing called Insight. That is like your loudness meter.
Yeah.
So that has your loudness meter, and then your spectrograph and a bunch of other things. Because I remember seeing people sort of showing their spectrograph as they're like showing off their music, like a producer being like, hey, this is like something I'm working on, and like they kind of just like have their cell phone camera pointed on the spectrograph, and you get like to see it, and just like you sit there, the first time you look at it, you're just like, okay, wait, what exactly is like, are they looking for in this spectrograph and stuff like that? And that in conjunction with tonal balance control, by Isotope, really helps me dial in my mix to like where I know it'll be hitting right. It'll be like, there's different presets for different kinds of tonal balance. Like, hey, I want bass heavy music, and it'll change.
Oh, that's cool.
It'll change it up and show you where your lows should be hitting, your low mids should be hitting, your high mids should be hitting, and your highs should be hitting, all the way down from like, you know, hip hop, country, like vocal, like whatever. There's all sorts of different things, and making sure that the loudness is always like, you know, around whatever left side like want for that song, you know. And it's crazy because like the loudness game has gotten out of control, dude.
Dude, yeah, man. You just
Because you got to be able to achieve that like -5 Skrillex type woof's loudness, but with clarity.
I remember us watching, I forgot where it was, but Subtronics, like, I think he was doing some tutorial thing. Oh, you know what? It was back when in Lost Lands he did, they used to do like Producer's Den, where they'd have some of the artists playing like just talk about production.
At Lost Lands?
Yeah,
it was like a side cut thing?
Yeah. They didn't do it last year. Well, once COVID happened, they stopped doing it. But Subtronics did it one time, and he said something like if when I go to my pre-master, I'm like +10. And he's like, yeah,
really?
some crazy shit, dude.
Oh my god.
He's like, and if not, I did something wrong. And then he just slams everything. I was like, dude, that's so wild. But if you listen to his music, it is super loud. I don't know how he gets it so clean, but
yeah,
shit is loud.
There's things to get there, dude. One of the recent plugins I also downloaded, I think it was like $30, is called Standard Clip, and that helps you get loudness. Like, say if your kick drum has such like a sharp transient that it will kind of like spike the limiter to the point where it kind of messes up the way that the limiter hits all the rest of your instrumentation. It kind of cuts off the top so that everything is more uniform with its wavelength.
Oh, cool, like a soft clip kind of thing.
Yeah, but like it's like a clipper, but like better because you've got more knobs at your disposal, and you know, you're able to all of a sudden get like a few dBs more out of your mix if you use it right and put it on the right things within your project.
Yeah. Very cool.
But yeah, you know, I just love to be able to get to talk about that nerdy stuff with people sometimes. Like, and not every guest or person in my life, you know, I can confide in that with.
Yeah. Like, I know my girlfriend's sick of me talking about it. She doesn't understand anything. I'm just ranting. So this is good.
Yeah, it's like the Peanuts teacher when you just like,
yeah, right.
Oh my God. What do you have on the plate for this next year though?
Ooh, man. Dude, I'm trying to get more focused on more like out of state like bookings, and I want to play some more festivals and stuff like that. I'm working on a shit ton of music. I got a collab with Felmax coming out sometime this year. Super duper fire.
Is it Felmax?
Yeah.
Spell
Felmax. Felmax. Big shout out to my boy Felmax. He's putting out some of the best music in the industry, period. So go check out his stuff. For real.
Damn, yeah. I'm gonna be like sitting there like pulling up all sorts of tabs when I'm editing this podcast. Like, okay. And then who does he like on SoundCloud?
Right.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite things. You know, internet crate digging.
Right. Dude, you can get so lost in the internet finding just fucking sound related stuff and fucking music and dubstep and shit.
Yeah, dude.
One of my favorite hobbies.
We really gotta step up the game on just being able to put out really good content. Like I am so inspired every time I see these people putting up things like, hey, this is like a producer technique.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be a part of that too, because I feel like I've got some knowledge to give. I know you do as well. Like all that stuff is really pushing all these artists forward.
Yeah.
You know, the momentum is getting crazy. You got so many more people producing music and being DJs, but that's why you got to be that much better now.
Hell yeah. Yeah, and it's great, man. It's like there's just so many new ideas, you know, and just seeing the flow. You know, the more the merrier. Like, I never understood people who treated, you know, other artists as competition, because like I want everybody to succeed. That's how this music genre does well and keeps innovating. It's always fucking changing, and that's like the coolest part of it, you know?
It's a community.
Yeah,
and
it's a community, yeah, hell yeah.
As much as it might be cutthroat, you know, or seems to be cutthroat, it's really a thing as to where if you put yourself out there that much more, hey, these are my secrets, like this is what I do to get this result, like, or this is somebody that I know that can help get you a show, whatever it is, that will probably benefit you more than holding your cards close. Because
I agree.
You know, like people will see a lot in that, and I think one of the first people that really spoke to me in that regard was Mr. Bill. I don't know if you're familiar with Mr. Bill.
Mr. Bill, fucking sound design, insane.
Yeah.
This dude's wild.
And he puts all of his stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
He's got like the biggest catalog of tutorials
Yep.
ever. He was doing it before it was cool.
Yeah. Dude, I can only imagine when he started. Probably the birth of YouTube.
Yeah.
I was watching, what was that fucking, do you remember that llama video, Carl? That's probably when he started. I forgot the name of that video.
What? It's like a YouTube classic.
Yeah, it's one of those classics. I forgot the fucking llama. They like. For those who know what I'm talking about, you're laughing right now.
I wish I knew what you were talking about because I remember
I'm gonna find it.
Remix, sample that video, dude.
Dude, hell yeah.
Some of the funniest things are just finding like those viral YouTube videos and just kind of like taking like a 2-second clip from it.
Oh yeah.
Like put it in reverse, Terry. Boom, hit him with a drop.
Dude, hell yeah. Dude, it's funny when you find. I love when like an artist puts out a song and then I find where their pre-drop is from. Yeah, dude, that is like the coolest thing ever. You know, when I find it, like, oh my god, that's what that was from. You know, usually it's like on YouTube on something or some shit.
What is it? What is the thing like the Skrillex? Oh my god!
Yeah.
What is that?
I think that was from a meme, like a meme video or something like that. I want to say
just something that somebody posted and it just went viral.
Yep, something like that. I remember like, oh man, one of the company's like biggest tracks was from like a YouTube video, and I ended up seeing it on Ridiculousness, and I started laughing hysterically because I was like, oh my god, that's where that's from. I forgot which one it is, of course, but dude, it's just it's one of my favorite pastimes.
Ridiculousness. Oh. So good.
Funny.
Yeah, dude, Rob Dyrdek is really doing some shit.
Yeah.
One thing I love to ask my guests are if you were only able to listen to one album for the rest of your life, like that's it. That's the only songs that you had at your fingertips.
Okay.
Like,
jeez. Okay.
what would that? I know it might take a second to think about this one, but
You know what? I actually know which one. It
What's
would
that?
be Worlds by Porter Robinson.
Porter Robinson, I
Yeah,
remember him. I
yeah.
never really got into him, dude.
Dude,
What is that one?
Porter
it's like
is-
future bassy, like
That was so
Big
Porter
House.
Robinson's been around for like ever, and he's just a goat, man.
Yeah.
Around that time, I think the proper term would be like electro step was kind of, or something wave, like what he was doing. It was very melodic type stuff, but like I have that album on vinyl,
Really?
and I will just pop it in, play it, and just like chill the fuck out. It's so cool.
What?
The song "Sad Machine" on there, I think, is probably my favorite song ever made. So good.
Interesting. Yeah, Porter Robinson. Is he the one that is talking about? Is that the dude, the Superhuman track?
Oh no, that's Slander. Porter Robinson
Slander?
just came out with
Okay.
like the Nurture. He did the Nurture tour and stuff. It's like super melodic, like
I know
almost
Porter
Solo like
Robinson.
stuff.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I never really listened to
Dude,
much of him.
he's just like, his music is amazing, you know. And it's funny too because like those of you who've never heard of me and you go like after this podcast and you like listen to my music, you're gonna be like, this is not Porter Robinson at all. Yeah, my music is like, you know, and Porter Robinson's like fucking, yeah, you know, like shit like that. So,
but that's cool that you really like that and resonate with it regardless.
yeah.
You know?
I think like the music's like, I've listened to like a lot of different stuff, you know, over the years, and I think just music that like creates an emotion or a feeling is like the most powerful music. And whether that's like super melodic in Porter Robinson or, you know, me headbanging to, I don't know, some heavy like Sullivan King or something like that, it's all about like an emotion, you know. So like anything that's raw and real and emotion in music definitely is worth my listening.
That's a really good point. I like that a lot. And I know we got just a little bit of time here. I'm trying to think of some things that I've been like hearing and seeing recently and like what you think about it. One thing is that even though I don't really like to talk about this guy, I was wondering if you heard anything about Bass Nectar trying to come back. Like, have you heard anything about this?
Yeah, man, it's been like all over the place, and I'm puzzled, man. Like, there's no room for him to come back, and there's no way in hell that could be even remotely acceptable. You know?
Yeah, dude.
Like that's just, I can't believe that's even like. I don't even want to be reading about it, you know?
I know. That's why I said I didn't even want to like mention it, but it was just one of those things that like recently blew my mind. I'm like, dude, why is that even an option?
Yeah.
But outside of that, who do you think is going to really rise to the top this year on the scene that hadn't really been in the limelight like that before?
Yeah. Like I mentioned, my homie Felmax, played Lost Lands last year. He's put out like a ton of like very unique music. And dude just grinds, man. I think he's gonna really, really, really like pop into, you know, the front of EDM. Yeah, and Stone Level I think is prime for a increase, you know. GOM too. That whole like kind of like hybrid trap like type of dubstep, like VRG and stuff like that. I feel like all of them. Yeah, I feel like that's gonna be like a nice like a new like not a new subgenre, but like that's gonna kind of be a lot more prominent coming up. That kind of music.
Interesting. Yeah, there's always like these waves of subgenres that just like come and go, and dude, Grizz has been killing it lately. Recno,
yeah.
like on that side of the spectrum. Man, I don't listen to enough rhythm, and like when I do, it's kind of like I just go on to one of my DJ pool sites, like Live DJ Service has a lot of heavy hitters.
Okay, yeah.
That I'll just like scroll through and just be like, what do I like the sound of? Boom, I'll download that, rinse it in a set, and the more times I rinse it, the more time I'll just be like paying attention to who the artist is and looking out for their names that much more. You know, I'm always out here Shazamming during people's sets.
Dude, yeah. This is not Shazamable. I think you came up to one of
That's my favorite,
that's
though.
Shazamable. Dude, that's facts, dude. That's like, yeah, I did some digging to get that one, dude.
As much as I like discovering what artists they're playing, if it says no search results found after like 3 times, I'm like, all right, this DJ is doing something right. They're finding something that is so obscure, and it sounds so good though that you want to know what it is, but you can't find it. Ugh.
Yeah. Dude, I feel that, man. That's what it's all about, man. Playing something fresh.
Straight up, man. Well, I mean, I got Carly coming in here soon enough for the podcast where she should be if she comes through. But I just want to talk about your time in Charleston before we go.
Yeah, sure.
How long have you been in Charleston now?
Year and a half, I think. About, yeah.
And so you moved from, where was it again?
I lived in Virginia for a year. I had a job transfer, and before that I lived in Raleigh, North Carolina for 5 years.
What do you think about Charleston in comparison to those two places?
Yeah, I like Charleston. I like the whole vibe of the city is cool. You know, like it's very like rustic but like not old, you know, like feeling, and everybody's like been really friendly and shit like that, and it's been kind of cool just like speaking local scene wise. I feel like it's starting to come up, man. Like I feel like there wasn't as much going on when I first got here, and now it's like, you know, EDM, especially the heavier dubstep, I feel like that is like really starting to the born bass music is being accepted in this area, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I think Purple Buffalo is a big constituent in that. You know, we just recently played the Purple Buffalo, and it's one of those few places here in town that DJs and producers like us can really have a home.
Yeah,
that feels like a legit underground
fucking
place
love that, dude.
That is like cultivating a whole culture in and of itself.
Yeah.
Do you have any show announcements coming up?
Yeah. So for those in South Carolina and surrounding areas, on the 21st of January, I'll be headlining my first show at Solid Alibi in Myrtle Beach called Winter Solstice. Solstice. There you go. That's the word. And then at those in Charleston on 126, I will be direct support for Murata on his Rage Room tour at Trio. That's going to be gnarly.
Yo, so many people haven't heard of it before.
Gnarly, dude.
Yeah, have you DJ'd Trio before?
I have. They've used me. I've been grateful, you know, to have hooked up with Holy City Sounds, and they've been using me for tour support. So like I played support at Trio for Peekaboo, for Keizo, who else? Peekaboo, Keizo, and Kill the Noise. So that was pretty
Yeah,
fire.
how are
dude.
those
Yeah.
shows?
Dude, gnarly, man. Gnarly, man. That was so cool. That was so cool. And just being, I always get like, sometimes I forget like I'm really doing this thing, you know, at least trying, and like to that play the same shows as like people I've looked up to, you know, for years and years and years in the music scene is just like the coolest feeling. It's
Isn't
just
it,
so
though?
cool, man. It's just really cool. Just that makes you appreciate your progress, you know.
It does. Do you get to like talk to them afterwards and all that good stuff?
Yeah. A lot of the times, you know, we'll hang out in the green room. You know, shout out to like the EDM community, because like majority of all those like bigger artists that I've played with are always super fucking nice, bro. Like Kill the Noise. Like me and him were chatting. He was answering questions about like production I had and stuff like that. It was just like super down to earth, cool dude, man. It was super cool experience.
I love that for you, dude. Yeah, and I've had the same experience as well, because there's some people that you question what they're like in real life, and like I said earlier, it's like those artists that are, you know, very humble and appreciative and don't hold their cards close, they end up getting more support because they're just like got a lot more sort of like attracting energy, and I think that takes you a long way.
Hell
and
yeah,
I mean, I remember even when one of the things I was doing for, it was like Past the Good Festival and or Zen Awakening.
Okay.
I've done a bunch of festivals, and some of them I do some sort of like work trade stuff in conjunction with like playing.
Okay.
And one of those tasks has been artist transportation.
Oh, yeah.
And so I've gotten to, I think it's just like I've given rides like to or from the airport for Filibuster. And,
Really?
And
that's fucking cool.
yeah, and then also Lucid.
Yeah.
You know that cat?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Great
and,
music.
And I'll just sit there and definitely ask him all like the nitty gritty questions.
That's so sick, man.
Yeah, and they'll always just be like, yeah, you know, like I do it like this or like that, and you know, this is the main synth I use, and you know, this is how I would mix things to get this sound.
Yeah.
And it's really where it's at, dude. I love how the community is just so open-armed, and you know, I think the best is yet to come at that rate, man. The tables are turning all the time on the turntables. and I just appreciate you being a part of this process with all of us, dude.
Thanks, bro.
I've
Dude,
seen
thanks
you-
for having me, man. This
I've
was a
seen
lot
you
of fun.
rise up, dude, and I think
thanks, dude.
I believe in you, and
Yeah.
I got high hopes for you, dude. Y'all need to go check out Solid Alibi.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Man. Got a lot of music coming.
Yes, seriously. Episode 22. Thank you for viewing. Everybody on Instagram Live and everybody that's going to be listening to this afterwards, I really do appreciate it. Y'all just try to hit subscribe. This is like the first time I ever said it in a podcast. If you really are liking what I'm doing, which is really just homies talking,
Yeah.
then stick around for more. I've got all sorts of them up the sleeve right now. I still got like 2 or 3 that are just ready to be uploaded. I just like to space them out like every so often, like maybe twice a week or once a week. But yeah, The Pursuit of Sound with Double Crown, DBLCRWN. It's Double Crown without the vowels. And this is Solid Alibi.
Yo.
Thank you.
Peace out.